Hey guys, I don't mean to be redundant, but after what's happened here in the last week or so with Lordstown Motors, and of course, distant ago was with Nikola, it was Nikola Motors. I think it's again kind of important for me to reiterate that for those of you that are looking for the next best thing to Tesla as far as an EV stock, really at this point, I really have to believe that Tesla is it. Tesla is still the best EV stock out there. I really don't think that Nikola is ever going to amount to anything. And if you're invested in it, if I was you, and this is just my opinion, I would get out. If you're invested in Lordstown, they've been under attack now by Hindenburg, who was the same company or short seller that exposed Nikola. So it's hard to refute what they're saying when they were pretty much dead on with what they said about Nikola as it's turned out. So when I heard that news, I immediately sold my shares of Lordstown Motors, or RIDE is the ticker. And so now I still do hold some Workhorse, in the hopes that they'll get some sort of contract with the Postal Service, but it's not much. I originally had, I think it was 500 or 600 shares, and I sold all but 100 or 200 shares. So I've more than covered my costs. I'm just playing with house money on that one, and I'd done the same thing with Lordstown Motors. When I sold my Workhorse, I also eliminated some of my Lordstown, just so I'd be playing with house money. So when I sold my remaining shares of Lordstown, it was depressing because it was up to $30 or so just a week or two ago, real recently, and I had the hunch then that I probably should just go ahead and sell it at that point. But I felt, like overall, I like to hold my stocks long term if I'm a believer in the company. And I didn't, I don't really, I realized that a company like Nikola or Lordstown or Lucid is another one. These are all companies that are in the EV business, but they're not producing anything yet. And so I'm becoming more and more skeptical of these companies. I'm also a big proponent of Hyliion. I do think they're in a different category because they're not pure EV. They have a solution that works right now, and they have made these trucks that are already on the road, and they are proving themselves to be effective. So I still hold, I think I've got 1,500 shares now of Hyliion, and they're I believe very undervalued right now. HYLN is their ticker, and I think they're down around $13 or so. But it's a long-term hold, guys. These companies, if they're gonna succeed, it's gonna take years, not months. And I think a lot of people have invested in these companies thinking that they could turn it around in under a year. I do not recommend anybody go into these EV companies with that mindset, because it's probably not going to work out. Now, as far as things stand right now, I am not going to invest again in Nikola, NKLA. I'm not going to invest again in Lordstown unless they're able to really refute everything that Hindenburg has said about them, and do so in a way that's very convincing and that the SEC will, accept. And if that happens, then I hope it does. I hope it does. And if that happens, it'll be great to see them, rebound. But even so, at this point, I'm taking my money. I'm going to put it back into Tesla. That's where I'm putting my money, because they're a proven company. I can trust Elon and what he says, Elon Musk. And these other companies, they're just not building a very good track record with their claims. You've got all the deception that happened under Nikola and the Trevor Milton debacle, and now it looks like Lordstown is going much the same way as Nikola did. Time will tell. And then I know that Lucid Air has made a lot of big claims, and they're starting to sound a lot like these other companies. Frankly, I just don't see the proof is in the pudding yet. I want to see some of these cars coming off the assembly line. I want to see that they're actually able to produce, manufacture these products in some sort of decent capacity, and have some real production there, not just a few cars, before I invest. And I frankly am quite a bit skeptical at this point of those three companies. And there's many others, but I haven't really looked at them at all. And of course, then you have your Chinese companies as well. You've got Neo. You've got Xpeng. You got Li Auto. You've got Build Your Dream, BYD. Of all those, the one that is most like Tesla, in my opinion, is BYD. I have not invested in them. I do have a few shares of Neo, a few shares of Li, just to kind of ride the Chinese EV wave, so to speak. But I think that long term, really, the top 2 or 3 EV makers in the world will be, first of all, without any doubt, Tesla. Second of all, most likely will be Volkswagen. And third of all, I think, will probably be Ford, as far as in the American market. Now, worldwide, you might have a third place go to Neo. It's hard to say, but I've invested in Volkswagen and Ford as well. I believe just 100 shares of each. But my heart really, my gut tells me it really, long term, Tesla's the place to put your money. So I would, personally, I'm kind of done playing around with these new companies, trying to catch a quick, increase in share price, which I certainly could have grabbed at different times with all those stocks, and now I wish I had. But I'm more of a long-term investor, like I said before, and so as a result, I'm going to put my money into stocks that I know, or that I feel are for sure a much better long-term bet. So if you're thinking about getting more into the EV sector, I'll tell you what, you'll sleep best at night knowing you're in a company like Tesla, or even Volkswagen or Ford. These other companies that are just brand new to the market could be nothing more than a flash in the pan, and you could lose it all. And it's pretty disconcerting when you wake up in the morning and that stock is down, big time. Not just a few percents, but Tesla certainly does that too. But Tesla has been very volatile, but I always feel very confident that it's going to come back, and it has always proven itself to do that. And the beautiful thing about Tesla too is it's much more than just a car company. Whereas all these other companies like Volkswagen, Ford, GM, Lucid, Neo, whatever, really, they're all just a car company, with the exception of BYD, Build Your Dreams, over in China. They also build batteries and buses and things like that, but certainly not on the scale that Tesla does, at least not to my knowledge. Now, feel free to comment about that. I think really, of all the Chinese companies out there, BYD is probably the best one. But for some reason, when I went to buy, I did try to buy some BYD. There was some sort of a pretty large commission involved with buying the stock, and I just didn't want to put that kind of money into a purchase price. So I'm a bit of a tightwad. I try to stretch my dollars and make them go as far as possible. So at that time, instead of buying BYD, I bought some Neo, and then I put the rest into Tesla. And I'm up to 485 shares, I believe it is, of Tesla now. The goal is to hit hit 500. So if it has another substantial dip here, I'm going to pick up another 15 shares, and then I'm going to start buying other sectors as well, like genomics. I bought some Edit recently and some BNGO recently, and well, that's really all I'm looking at right now. Well, and some 3D printing stocks. So I think, long term, these are all going to be great sectors to be in. And I know there's a lot of people putting money, switching over from tech stocks to value stocks, and that's great. But I really love to see the big growth. I think these up and coming companies in the 3D printing and genomics are a fairly good bet. And I don't lose sleep over it at night like I was with Lordstown, and still kind of do with Workhorse, frankly. So I just don't like. I really don't like having my money in these companies that kind of have the slick car salesman representation. Trevor Milton was an example of that, and I think I don't know the guy's name that does all the PR for Lucid, but he sounds very intelligent, has that British accent that really I think helps him come off as being very intelligent and smooth. But at the same time, a lot of these claims they're making, I want to see this car coming off the assembly line in big numbers with that technology before I'm really gonna put any money into it. So that's my thoughts, guys. If I was you, if you want to sleep well at night, don't mess around. Go with the number one company. Number one is Tesla. That's in my opinion, but I think that's pretty hard to dispute. So take it for what it's worth, and if you like this, give me a like and subscribe if you would. I'd appreciate it. And sorry if I seem tired. I've been in the shop all day here, and just been kind of thinking about this whole situation, and thought I'd mention this to you. All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.